What's up, YouTube? The Questioning Center back at you with another video on the cryptids and the paranormal topic. Today I'm filming. It's gotta be, after 5 a.m. It's still dark outside, if you can see. I'm in my car parked this time. And this is the part 2 to the animal hybrid video. I did, a little more digging on the topic. And I want to share with you what I've come to learn about these animal hybrids, where they come from in nature, and how scientists are still trying to figure out like how they breed with each other, because they're animal hybrids. How can they procreate with other animals when they're hybrids? They're not pure species of the animals. So scientists were trying to figure out how it's actually possible for these animals to mate. And this information I'm gonna talk to you about comes from a YouTube channel called Real Science. So that's how you know it's for real. And this story from the YouTube channel Real Science, it goes like this. In 2006, a trophy hunter was hunting in the northwestern Arctic Canadian territory. Now, in this territory, there's many different animals. You could probably have the penguin there, polar bears definitely, seals, Arctic animals like that. So when he was hunting in 2006, he shot what looked to be a polar bear because of the fur, the white, clearish fur the polar bears have. And he shot this bear, but upon closer inspection, he realized that it wasn't a bear, a polar bear, like how you would normally see a polar bear. This bear, it had longer claws, it had like a grizzly bear muzzle, and the features of this bear more closely resemble a grizzly bear, but it had polar bear fur, if you can imagine an animal like that. So this hunter turned this bear DNA into the scientists in Canada, and what they found is that this animal is actually an animal hybrid of a female polar bear, I think they said, with a male grizzly bear. So a male grizzly bear and a female polar bear, they mated and made a animal hybrid, which scientists, they call it a gorilla, like a grizzly bear and a polar bear named gorilla. And it's just crazy how nature works, where you can have a grizzly bear, which is its own type of bear, and then you have a polar bear, which is another type of bear. And it just goes to show that you never really know what nature has to bring. So with that, I learned that when it comes to animal hybrids, it all boils down to whether or not they can breed together. That's the main point to take away from this video, is that animal hybrids, it all relies on how they breed together and how they create other species with other animals and within their subspecies. Because bears, there are so many types of bears that there are subspecies of bears which scientists label, polar bears, grizzly bears, black bears, etc., etc. And these bears, they can create with each other if the conditions are right. It's all to do with the chromosomes. You see, humans have 23 chromosomes when they mate and they give to their offspring. So 23 from the father, 23 from the mother. the number of chromosomes differ when it comes to different animals. So you might have a horse DNA that has like 34 chromosomes. I don't know the actual number. We're just using an analogy here. And then you have a mule which has like 76 chromosomes that they give to their offspring. So when a horse and a mule have an offspring, they create a donkey. Or it might be the other way around, where a horse and donkey create the mule. I forget. Someone correct me in the comments if you know the answer. But as I was saying, it all has to do with the chromosomes. So if the chromosomes aren't compatible, it's impossible for the egg to be fertilized to create an offspring. So the chromosomes have to align with each other. I don't think they necessarily have to be the exact same number, like humans have 23, but the chromosomes have to be compatible in a way that the offspring can survive and actually, you know, not be deformed or miscarriage from the animals. So it's all crazy science and biology and anatomy and all that type of stuff. And as a journalist, I just have to try to understand these, you know, these scientific topics so I can understand what's the actual truth and what's actually, you know, able to happen in reality. Because if it's not able to happen in reality and it can't be recorded by science, then why should we believe it? Why should we believe something that's totally made up and, like, you know, pseudoscience that, you know, people try to pretend is real, but it's no evidence or no proof behind it? That's the worst kind of thing to have in this world. It's just a lie or pseudoscience that people make to be reality, but in reality has no substantial evidence to support it. But with these animal hybrids, scientists in these past few decades are now, you know, admitting that these animal hybrids are so hard to explain, because they used to think that polar bears and the grizzly bears couldn't create offspring because they're two different bears that evolve differently. One evolved to be in cold, icy conditions in the North Pole. Then you have the other bear that's evolved to be in thick forests and scavenge for berries and fish in rivers in warm, drier conditions compared to the Arctic. And you have these bears, they branched off in evolution, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago. So you have to go back like 400,000 years or so before you find a common ancestor between a polar bear and a grizzly bear that could actually create offspring. But now scientists are actually kind of flipping it around and saying, oh, you have the species of bears that, you know, have a common ancestor 400,000 years ago. They could actually make offsprings that we can study and analyze in nature because it's actually real. So what I'm trying to say here is, yes, these animal hybrids exist. Yes, cryptids exist. Yes, government chimeras of animals that we already know about and animals we don't know about that they're trying to hide from us, they do exist. It's just that scientists have to come together and figure out a method of categorizing these animals, because it's so much out there that they don't understand, and so much out there that they try to, you know, make up as they go along, because scientists don't want to look wrong. Because if you look wrong as a scientist, you just look foolish and nobody wants to, you know, trust you. And I also want to bring up, like, you know, we have zoos and everything. We have like bears in zoos, polar bears in zoos, lions in zoos. But we only have like a certain amount of those in zoos. So you might have like only 2 or 3 lions per zoo. So how in the world is it possible for scientists to study these animals in the zoo and how they, how they can procreate with, other felines and other members of their own species? Like, how are scientists supposed to study that if they only have 3 lions in the zoo? They're not, because in nature there's abundance of animals and species that can go around and, mate as they choose. And it's up to nature at the end of the day. But in zoos, it's kind of like a forced habit. It's literally a forced habitat for these animals. So they don't know what to do, or they're not naturally going to, move a certain way because scientists want them to. But yeah, that's pretty much the part 2 to the animal hybrid video. There's so much to, talk about when it comes to putting 2 different species into one, basically, because one species has one set of traits, the other species has another set of traits. You bring it together, and then all those characteristics could potentially act out in one animal. I say potentially because I don't know, because I'm not a biologist or a scientist studying this topic, so I can't say for certain that if you take 2 species, they're going to have the same characteristics. But that's what the scientists were actually believing, that, if you take the characteristics of a jellyfish living as a immortal animal on his own time, and then you take the let's say the silk spider webs of a hunter spider, you bring that together into one species, you can have an immortal spider producing silk creature. I don't know, I'm just going along as I'm recording this video. But yeah, that's what they actually believe. They believe that you take 2 species, 2 DNA samples of a species, and you can probably get the characteristics. You never know, because scientists is like, throwing everything at the wall and seeing the results at the end of the day. As a journalist, I'm trying to understand this crazy world of science and this crazy world we're living in. And I'll use all the information to one day explain the strangeness of the cryptid phenomena. I appreciate your time watching this video. I have fun making this video. I think this is my 5th video on this channel that I'm starting out on. And yeah, make sure to subscribe. Drop a comment what you think about the topic, what I'm talking about, if it makes sense to you, or if I just sound like a crazy person. Check out my TikTok page, The Questioning Center, Instagram, Facebook page. And I thank you for joining me today. Have a good day.